Okay guys, hey, welcome back. It's been almost a year since I got the XTR130 Kayak. This is a massive kayak. It's a boat. It's absolutely a boat. But I've had it for a year. Christian and I, Special K, we've landed hundreds of walleye so far on this thing. Some steelhead, of course, a lot of bass, things like that. But I just wanted to go over some of the things that we've done to it since we've gotten it. And you know, we didn't have all of this stuff when we first started. It was more add-ons after, you know, got out there and figured out what I needed, what I wanted more than anything. But first things first, you're gonna need a trailer. I don't care who you are, I don't care how big your truck is. If you plan on decking this thing out with even half of the stuff that we have on there, you need a trailer. Just stop thinking about it. Just get yourself a utility trailer. That's what we did. We got one from Harbor Freight. I think it was like 900 bucks at the time. It's a 5x10. I can load this thing in and out of the water within minutes. So, I mean, you guys, if you're familiar with the channel, you watch us load it. And what we did is I just took some 4-inch PVC pipes, and in the bottom of the boat here has like this little radius, fits perfect to the 4-inch diameter PVC. So we just pull it up, and then I just drag it on, hit the lock on the front, take off right out of the ramp, and then strap it down before we go home. But definitely need a trailer is what I'm trying to tell you. It's heavy. I don't, just stop and get a trailer. Okay, so we use the Newport NK300 on the back, and this thing probably gets you about 4 miles an hour, I think. And then when I use the trolling motor up front, we get maybe a couple miles more. So you're whopping 6 miles an hour, fully loaded. So in the back of these boxes here, top ones here is just for storage. I kind of keep my stuff in there, water shoes, remote for the trolling motor, things like that. But in the bottom here, this is where I keep all the batteries, registration, first aid kit. Definitely need a first aid kit. And the registration papers just checked by Coast Guard yesterday. Anyway, this is a 36 volt battery back here. It's lithium. And this is the 12 volt. This one runs the NK300 in the back on the stern. And this one runs the Minn Kota Tarova up front. Completely isolated. They both have their own circuit breakers, Anderson plugs. And so these are connected in the back here. This runs the trolling motor, and then this one would run the NK300. And I used all 8-gauge wire. It might be a little bit overkill, but you definitely don't want to skimp on your wiring. And because when you're running 12 volts and you start running thin gauge wire, like a 16, it's not going to work. You're going to have voltage drops. It could actually get really hot. So just don't cheap out. Get heavy wire. It's worth it. Adds a little bit of weight to the boat, honestly, but it's not that much. And speaking of weight, I did have a lead battery up here that was running the graphs and the lights and things like that. And I took that out, which was 40 pounds, I believe, 38 pounds, something like that. Because when I added the Minn Kota, it actually added 45 pounds to the front of the boat. So I took those out and I put in these amped up lithium batteries in here. One's a 20 amp and one's a 30 amp. One's isolated just for the live scope, and the other one runs the graphs, the lights, things like that, the anchor light, all that stuff. And that's all powered by this Yak Power unit here, which I actually have another one up here that I could access. So you can turn on the graphs, turn on the lights. We have USB ports for your phone, things like that. Actually, USB ports in the back, running the camera that you see back there. These are the ones that we use to film. So this is all isolated. This unit itself has its own battery. I didn't want any interference when I'm out there trying to run lights or a graph and have it interfere with that. So one isolated battery just for that. Its own cutoff switch. So we're shutting that off. Just more for, I don't want it to drain the battery if it's not in use. I usually unplug these anyway. But again, I kind of moved things around so we could see in here, but there's a little bit of water in there. But again, I'm using heavy gauge wire, and these are on boards that are kind of like pretty much cutting boards, if you will. And in this groove here, can't really take it apart, but I cut it so it goes up into this groove, and then you wedge it back. So it's actually putting pressure right here. Same with this one here. So when you put those in, cut them a little bit big, so it's actually sitting in here. I just put a little bit of silicone on both sides, push it up in there. Always got to have a dry bag too, so extra set of clothes, things like that in there in case you need it. But that's pretty much what's up here. But more important with everything, I have this isolated ground down here. This thing is ran completely separate. No sharing of anything. I just didn't want any interference whatsoever. So that's why I did that. And I have stood on the front of this. I've stood on the front of this in calmer days, obviously, and no problems whatsoever. Bass fish, things like that. This is really just a mess. Yeah, so you can put storage in there. Again, there's another USB port I put in there. But this is the plugs coming up front that I showed you in the back for the Minn Kota. And then I just got some Yak Attacks up here, the bow mount for the Minn Kota. And I'm just running this little unit here. This is what we film on. Kind of gets an angle like you guys are used to, like that. And now my phone, or battery stuck to it. Magnet, get off of there. All right. So coming back here, I do have obviously the extra seat. This unit comes off, and then you just bolt the seat down, the second seat right here. This is storage for it. Obviously, when Christian or anybody else, Special K, goes with me, we can take that off. So some of the things that I've changed since I got this thing. We had the Garmin Striker 4, fish finder. I think this thing was like $100. Got us out there. We could obviously see, the bottom, the contours, things like that, depth of the water, the temperature, things like that. But it was time to get something a little different. So I have the Garmin UHD2 Ultra. These are, I think this is a 9-inch screen. And this is also what I'm running the live scope now on. This live scope, and I have the Sniper Marine pole. I'll talk about that in a minute here. But in order to use this live scope, I definitely needed a trolling motor with spot lock, because you'll find fish and this thing, by the time you find them, you're already drifting 50 yards. So these are kind of like a dual thing. I kind of got them both at the same time. So this is the live scope, and this is the from Garmin. This unit here, this marine pole, it's kind of cool. So with this here, you just pull this out. Trying to do this with one hand. This unit comes out like this, and then I don't want to bang it, but you're going to turn it like such, and that would go down in there, and you'd be on your way. So, some people will say, hey, do you want to put that on your trolling motor or on its own pole? I definitely want it on its own pole, because again, without that spot lock, if you have, found some fish and that spot lock's going, that trolling motor is going to keep moving, and you're just going to, if you have your transducer mounted to that, you're not going to see the fish. So this thing here allows me to just spin it as I need. I don't have to. I can move it this way if I wanted to, but while I'm sitting there, I'm just usually sitting like this, spinning that, and works fine. So this is completely separate, obviously, from the trolling motor. But I tell you what, without this unit, I know this is not cheap. I know, but I didn't get it right away. Something we were thinking about, and now that I have it, I think we would catch 3 or 4 walleye last year going out. Now we're catching double digits numbers every day. And not only that, it's a good time. I tell you what, it's a lot of fun. So I really don't know what else to cover with this thing. Again, the spot lock works good. When I go out, you know, you guys seen me use these. We'll just put a pole in here. I don't have trolling, you know, dipsy divers. I don't have any boards, planer boards. I don't even know what those things are. I don't even know how to use them even if I tried. So I just stick the poles in here. We use a little like bullet weight, 1 ounce weight, drop it back. That's the other thing about this live scope. I can see my harness behind me about 45 feet or whatever, and I watch it drop. I watch it, you know, wherever the fish are sitting. I can see that harness. I can see both of them. I turn it over. I can see the back one on that side, and I can see it spinning. I can see fish coming up to it, so I just watch, and it's pretty cool. One other thing too, you know, these are the Wizard steering on that stern-mounted NK300. They're not very easy to use, and the reason why I say that is if you get over like 30% on that motor, there's so much tension on it that it's hard to move the cable. You have to slow it down a little bit in order to turn it. Is it a big deal? No, but it was kind of a pain in the butt. So what I do is I keep the motor straight. You know, you can see on the star back here, you can see when this is straight or not. So I'll usually keep this straight. And then I start, you know, putting like 10% on the motor, depending on what I'm doing. And then I have the Minn Kota Terrova take over on the front, you know, so you have it down in the water, and then I use autopilot. So last year when I just had that, you got waves rocking you, and I'll show some video. It's hard to keep your line straight because all of a sudden, if you're not paying attention or you're looking around and you aren't steering that boat, you know, next thing you know, your line's going in the motor. It was just an absolute pain. Or, you know, I'm tying a hook and all of a sudden the boat's way off to the left. Now with the Terrova up front, I could drop it down, keep that stern motor center so it's going straight, and then put this to where I want to go, hit the autopilot lock, and it's taking me wherever I have it set at. So no more screwing around. I don't have to put my feet on there. I could just fish, watch the graph, things like that. I know, again, it's kind of lazy, but just things that I've learned, you know, using it. And now, once you have those things, man, it's night and day difference. And again, don't forget, I had a sit-in kayak that had a hole in it for like 6 years. And I did very well. I caught so many bass, go off of Presque Isle here in the bay. I caught a ton of fish out of that, but I wanted to get out in the lake. Couldn't afford a boat, an actual boat. Now that I got all this on there, I probably should just bought a boat. But this thing gets me anywhere, no gas. It's easy to load and unload. I'm out of there in 5 minutes, usually out of the ramp. And I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. So sitting up here, again, I'm just kind of relaxing, sitting. I have my poles here, as you guys seen on my videos, and they're just out there doing their thing. I got this set up to where I can see the graph, and again, I'm just spinning this around, looking, and then making my cast from there. Everything's pretty much in reach, you know, underneath here. It's where I keep all my baits and things like that. Again, the motor has a cutoff switch here that I would tie to my belt. Cup holders are always added. Those are nice. Love those. Again, everything that, you know, is on here now, I didn't have to start. It's just, you know, like, hey, I need this or I need that. I noticed this or noticed that. Even just adding these poles to the trailer to back up, I can see it better. And sometimes when I'm pulling it in, the kayak will hit this and it'll bounce it back in place onto the PVC. Just small things like that. But if you're thinking about getting the XTR, you won't be disappointed. Again, I know I have just about everything you possibly have on this thing, but I didn't have that always. I didn't, I started bare bones with the striker. That's all we had. Of course, we had a motor. I chose the NK300 just because of the added power. I almost went with the 180, or I'm not sure if that's what it is, the 180, the smaller one, but figured, hey, for the extra bucks, might as well get it. I'm glad I did that too. Again, so you're gonna need a trailer, run heavy gauge wire, isolate your batteries. do yourself a favor so you don't have any interference for the graph and the live scope. Isolate your battery for the trolling motor. I've been out 12, 13 hours on those amped up lithium batteries for the graphs and the lights. The 36 volt and the 12 volt lithium batteries for the trolling motor. And I've never had, knock on wood, I've never had any of the batteries die. So, and those are full running days. I use that, you know, spot lock pretty much the whole time I'm out there. And it's just constantly running. I've been in waves where that trolling motor is coming up out of the water. I've had it running through a lot of heavy water, meaning like waves, and these motors or batteries lasted me the whole time. So I don't really know if there's anything more I could cover. Again, all the wiring is down inside through here. You know, there's nothing really exposed. You know, you can grommet these so there's no water getting in. Again, with this whole deal here, that's running everything. I do have lights here in the front, and there's a couple lights up underneath there and one in the storage. Oh, one thing I do want to cover with this Minn Kota Tarova, you see how it's off to the side? There's a reason for that, and that's because I'm always accessing this. I'm always in here. If that Minn Kota was straight, the head of this unit would be sitting right here, and I can't get in there. I'd have to drop it down to work in here or whatever. It doesn't have any effect on anything. When you drop that down, you just make sure the head is straight. It doesn't matter if it's off on an angle like that. So that's out of the way. And then I did have a cable attached to this, or it ran down through here, and I could pull it and deploy it. I found I don't need that. I just come up here and pull it because I can stand here. So took all that wiring and stuff off of here, but do yourself a favor and keep that off to the side so you can access your storage here. So that's kind of important. Glad I remembered that. But again, if you're thinking about this unit, it is definitely worth it. I've caught so many fish off of here, and I absolutely love it. So anyway, thanks for watching all the videos, guys. We are really doing well this year. I mean, we probably already caught 100 walleye easy. And I know a lot of guys go out and they're like, well, we catch that, you know, within a couple hours with 6 guys. I get it, but it's still a kayak. I'm still limited on where we can go. I'm not going out a mile or half a mile offshore. These are made for, again, I've pushed my luck. I know I have, but I stay closer to shore. Most I've ever been on is half a mile maybe from shore. It's still, you know, kind of a haul when weather gets rough. But anyway, by getting this unit, we've caught so many fish that we would never been able to before. Again, I've never owned a boat, so I think that's it. I'm gonna stop rambling. Again, I appreciate you guys watching, and check out all the videos. You can see how we got it set up. You can see how we use all these things. We caught steelhead on it. Everything that you could think of, and there's plenty of room. Absolutely plenty of room. So, all right, thanks for watching, and I hope that helped you guys. Just pull the trigger on it, but get a trailer first. Trust me, just get a trailer. All right, guys, appreciate you. See ya.